to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
And 20 years ago today, America answered the challenge.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Two decades ago, our world changed forever because humans stepped foot on another world for the very first time. Apollo 11, the moon landing, one small step for man, all part of our folklore now, but also a very real part of our lives today and maybe the basis for our future.
And there would not have been a moon landing without Southern California's aerospace industry. Tens of thousands of people here worked round the clock to get Apollo off the ground. And our Jane Wells talked with some of those who feel a piece of them went to the moon with the Apollo crew.
The whole world was watching that day, including the three of us. But here in Southern California, there was plenty of nail-biting. I asked a few of those who worked so hard 20 years ago back on Earth what it felt like the day man walked on the moon.
In some ways, it seems like 20 years ago. In some ways, it seems like 1,000 years.
Rich Holman went to the moon. So did Dave Forge and Dick Thomas. Or at least their ideas did. These men and tens of thousands of others in Southern California designed and built much of the hardware that took Apollo 11 to another world.
Here at Rockwell, we actually designed the Apollo command module, service module.
This is where the astronauts spent more than a week together.
What we had was three guys that had to be very, very sociable.
Ignition sequence start.
The excitement, the concern, did we check every little thing? It's still there. You can't get rid of it. You know you have tested time and time again, but is there something?
Dave Forge of McDonnell Douglas helped in the testing of the third rocket stage. That stage would take Apollo 11 out of the Earth's atmosphere, coast for a while, then reignite to put the crew into the moon's orbit. Rich Holman also worked on it.
And once our stage had gone through its operation and had sent the Apollo off on its way, our pulses probably went from 160 all the way down to 120.
Okay, all flight controllers, go for landing. Retro.
Go.
Fido.
Go.
Guidance.
Go.
Control. Go.
When
Telcom.
Apollo 11 landed and when Armstrong called back the Eagle has landed, I was on station at the mission evaluation room at Houston, Texas.
You were in there?
Yes, I was.
I was sitting, watching television, applauding.
My daughter was old enough at that time to sit back, and I was telling her about what we had done, what our participation in, how we as a family were part of that launch.
The only hitch in the landing was the computer, which back then was much slower and could not process all of the data it received. Alarms went off.
Roger, 1201 alarm.
1201 alarm.
Same type, we're go flight.
Okay, we're go.
Armstrong took manual control of the craft and landed it.
The Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
I think the room exploded as soon as we heard the Eagle had landed.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The way I felt was kind of like we had just won the NCAA basketball championship, and I wanted to cut down the net.
I can remember going outside and looking up at the moon and saying, my heavens, we actually have some of our own people right up there right now.
These men thought we'd be to Mars and beyond by 1989, but priorities have changed. The room at Rockwell, where the command module was put together, is now used to build the new space shuttle, Endeavour. Still, to hear them talk now, you'd swear the Eagle was landing today for the first time.
We're just starting there. We're just scratching the surface.
Those men say that today watching the moon landing footage brings back the same tears it did 20 years ago. And I think it does for me, too.
For all of us, yeah.
Still cold chills, definitely.
Thanks,
Thanks
Jane.
so much, Jane.